We're back, Rob. We're back.
We're back. Easter Monday. I lose track of the days.
We can't get enough of it, can we?
We love it. I tell you what, Joe.
We keep saying it, don't we?
It's been brilliant. It's been brilliant. Loads of questions come in. Loads of positivity. It's been brilliant. And although the weather's been brilliant over the last couple of days, so I've not wanted to be stuck in the tackle shed talking to you, really. I wanted to spend it with the family in the paddling pool.
Yeah.
Weather's took a bit of a turn now, hasn't it? So,
bit cold outside, isn't it, today?
I tell you what, I've not got my shorts on. Have you got your shorts on?
Not today. Full on joggers on today.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I went to the park this morning. Not the park, just the field near us.
Yeah.
We have a kick about every day with my little one.
Yeah.
Didn't even last 5 minutes today.
Really?
So cold, isn't it? Wind's biting.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Freezing cold. We're hoping, because we've been taking the dog for a walk every day. We've got some fields at the back of us. We're hoping that the sun comes out a little bit later and we can get out there and have a bit of a walk.
Yeah. It's nice to get the fresh air in it. But we've got big plans today, haven't we?
Big plans. Tell us what the plans are. Well, should we just leave it? We'll tell people that we could have a couple of guest appearances.
Yeah. We haven't really planned it in or booked it in or anything, have we? We're just sending out the password.
Yeah.
The people we know, and if they pop up, they pop up.
If they pop up, they pop up. And we've not chose guys that haven't got much to say. We've got really clever guys with things going on at the minute. Yeah, so it should be interesting. Yeah. It should be interesting.
Yeah. So let's crack on. Right, go on.
Do you want to start off with whacking some questions on? Because I tell you what, one of the things, if you look through your questions, just quickly, I want to touch on one of the questions that I got from the last video. And it was quite an interesting one. One, because it gives me a chance to plug something. But also, I thought it was quite interesting because it was a little bit long-winded. And it's a little bit of a long-winded answer. But myself and Lee Carey, as you know, we do coaching days. Yep. And we do them all throughout sort of like the warm months of the year. And obviously, with whatever's going on, we've had to put these on the back burner until we can get back out again. Everyone's had their money back for what they've booked onto. But I've had one of the guys message me. He was coming to the Glebe coaching day, which I think would have already gone. Like I say, I lose track of the days. But he was coming to the Glebe coaching day, and that day was all about commercial carp fishing, springtime sort of carp fishing. He just wanted to know how would the day have gone and what methods would we have touched on during the day. So he wants almost like his whistle stop coaching day
online.
So the day goes like this. Either Lee or myself spend a morning fishing. And what we'll do is we'll set up our kit from start to finish. So I think it's really important on any coaching day that I do to set up in a really structured way. So from the minute I get to the bank, before I even put my box down, my sort of fishing session starts because I set up in a really structured way. And that means I can keep an eye on the water and keep my eye on little triggers that's going on. I can keep my eye on where the fish might be, maybe notice things that's going on around the lake. Lee's got a very similar mindset with that. Then, because it's usually me that does the morning session on the Glebe, and Lee will probably do it somewhere like Lindome or maybe on a different venue, I would then talk to everyone about rigs, baits, everything from soaking micros to what baits we're going to use and why. Then talk to them about the rigs. We'll even make up a rig on the bank. And it probably goes on for maybe 3 hours, that morning talk. And at the Glebe, we would have been concentrating on short pellet fishing because I believe short pellet fishing, if you can catch a fish at 5 meters, as long as you can hold your pole at 13 or 14 meters, you'll catch the fish there because the feeding is exactly the same. So it's interesting to get used to the feeding in the rigs at 5 meters because it doesn't make any difference whether you're doing it at 5 meters or 13 or 40 meters. And we'd talk through feeding and how to get the best from your peg, why you'd use pellets, why you'd use corn, why you'd use meat. And then we'd probably add in a margin line as well later on in the session. And then we'd say about 12 o'clock, 12:30, see you later, lads, go back to your peg and go and catch some fish for yourself. And what all the lads do, probably like a dozen lads, maybe up to 15, we'd cap it at 15. They'd go back to the swims and they'd catch a few fish. And then me and Lee would walk around individually and spend maybe half hour, an hour with each guy throughout the course of the afternoon, talk to them about different things. They might not have picked up enough from the morning session. They might just want to learn a few extra bits for the afternoon. And then we'll talk to them about key times and little triggers, what time of day the fish are going to come in the edge and things like that. So that's what we would have covered. Unfortunately, we're stuck at home. We can't do anything about it.
But I mean, not blowing your trumpet or anything. It's they're brilliant sessions, aren't they? People get loads out of them.
Yeah, as
and good value, I'd say.
Good value, and again, both Lee and myself, it's nice. Obviously, everyone gets a goodie bag as well. We'll try and get a goodie bag from either Dynamite, Preston, Sonu, Midi, whoever we can get something from. We'll give a goodie bag to everyone, relevant products for the day, and we get quite a lot of messages, afterwards. Yeah. Cheers for that. Really interesting day, and we've got our own website for it that I'll probably put in the comments, but I'm not going to start plugging it that heavily. But we've got our own website, and we get a hell of a lot of repeat bookings, hell of Brilliant. A lot. And sometimes, if guys have been on it before, it can be a little bit difficult to add something, because I feel in a day we just go and we give everything out, everything we can. We spill everything, so it's quite difficult to add something to a repeat.
Do you get many people who've been on the group do want to book a one-to-one with you afterwards?
No, hardly ever. And
really?
What we try and do now, no, they don't.
Try and push into the group.
Having said that, my last coaching session, just before this lockdown happened, was a guy who had been out with us on the group sessions, and he wanted to refine his sort of skimmer approach at Boston. Yeah, so nice. I think for that level of angler, when he's got a match coming up, because this guy, obviously his match got cancelled in the end, but he had a match coming up. It's those sort of, it was perfect for him. He'd obviously got a contact, and he thought Rob will help me out with that. So perfect. Yeah, I think we cover quite a lot in those group days. Obviously with Lee Carass, this quality speaks for itself. We've got two really good anglers, and two brains is better than one a lot of the time.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, for the money, can you imagine, like, I know it's it's different sports and stuff. Can you imagine if you went out with like Ronaldo and Messi for like?
Yeah, I'm not too sure with Ronaldo and Messi.
I know, but do you know what I mean? It's like a top level footballer.
Yeah, of course. So I've had golf lessons, and it's whatever it is. It's 30 quid an hour. It's yeah. And that's for just a general pro at the course who is just a pro. He's not a guy competing in big competitions. No, I think there's a lot of angling coaches out there. Andy May springs to mind, Jamie Hughes. And
some great guys, isn't there?
Yes, they're great guys. Get out and get a day's coaching if obviously you get a chance to do it. And it fast tracks you so fast. Obviously, we offer the group days. I think Lee offers a few individual days. I offer individual days. Andy May, Jamie Hughes, depending on what sort of area of the country you're in. And
give them a go.
What you're specialising in. If you've got the money and you've got the resources and you want to get better, it's a really good fast track. Really good fast track. So that's enough. That's enough of that. I knew it was a long-winded question.
There's a lot of plugging. That is
a lot of plugging. I didn't want to cover it last time. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
But a good bit of plugging, I'd say.
Yeah, nice.
I'm all right with that. Can I give a plug?
Go on then.
Because this is for both of us. Look at this that landed on my doorstep yesterday. Match Fishing Magazine. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Look at this.
Am I in Match Fishing Magazine this month?
We both are, one after each other.
Really?
So there I am. Doing a feature on braid and mono, and then you are...
I remember you telling me about that.
Doing an expanders on the next page. Looks like makings.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, makings.
Oh, it's expanders in a feeder fishing, skimmer feeder fishing with expanders.
Nice method, that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful method.
So there you go.
Hang on. What did we both catch?
I think you've caught...
We both had a lot of skimmers.
Yeah, you've had a nice net full of skimmers.
Look, something's happening.
What's happening? Someone here?
Hey! Here he is.
Can you hear us? That is the thing.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I mean, it's not the smoothest, Adam.
It's not the smoothest transition for Adam.
Oh, he's connecting. Oh, he's got a fancy phone, and he's got one of them that the Chinese.
I'm in.
He's in.
How's the Wi-Fi? How's the Wi-Fi? Is it good?
Yeah, all right.
Superb. Look at that for a tackle room.
I tell you what, he's got a tackle room.
Is it
honestly,
a tackle room?
It's my garage, but look how tidy it is.
Yeah.
Not like me at all, is it?
No, it isn't like you at all, no.
Look at this. Look what he's got there on the wall. Did you see that?
Bins. Yeah, limb bins, yeah.
Look at that.
Look at that for a desk.
So, ladies
No,
and
not like-
gentlemen, we have been joined by Adam Richards. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Are you bored?
Oh, look at that. Someone started the car outside.
He's got a little cushion,
Got
for his
a
chair.
cushion,
Do you
got
see
a
his little cushion? Oh,
That's got to be his wife's chair, hasn't it?
it's hasn't it? Yeah.
She looks after me. Oh, that's fine. I can't hear them now. How's everyone doing?
We are
Yeah,
very
brilliant.
well.
Brilliant. We're pleased you've come on now because we've got a load of questions for you to answer. We're
Oh, great.
going to grill you for your expertise.
What
Because
are we talking about? Drinking?
No, not drinking. We've built you up massively last time. I think in every one of these videos we've done, we've mentioned you in some way about what was the first one? Was it about how aggressive he is?
Yeah, match
fishing
winning.
to win, match winner.
He's my number one guy for either winning a match or coming last.
Coming last. Thanks.
But you do, don't you? That's true though, isn't it? Because you fish
there's
to win,
prize
don't you?
Second. This is a. Well, I
No.
suppose. Yeah, we don't want to be second.
So why is it that you fish so positive all the time? Because you're like, literally, you only have winning in mind, don't you?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're there to win, aren't you? We all go fishing to win. So I'd rather give myself a chance of winning, and at least I've given myself the opportunity there. I'm not coming away thinking, well, if only if I'd have done this, if I'd have done that. You can always scratch a few more bites out, maybe win a section, but for me, I'd rather win the match.
Yeah,
I used to fish like that a hell of a lot, but obviously as time's gone on, and with what I do now, it's just I don't know if it's gone out of me or whether I just don't get the opportunities to do it anymore. But it's definitely the right mentality in individual matches. Just roll the dice. If it works, and push your peg as far as you can.
I think there's probably a lot of pegs that can win a match wasted because people don't fish to win. They just fish and sort of get a few bites, enjoy the day, maybe beat the people round them. They might
try not to embarrass themselves. I think that's a lot to do with it.
I think you've got to give your peg a chance to win. The same as if it's a peg that's not so good. They all win a match on the day, so why not fish to win off them?
Yeah, and I think sometimes the pegs that are the worst pegs, they're the ones you might as well fill it in and try and. Because you would not go and do anything anyway, are you? You might as well give it a go.
Yeah. I always think there's a window in the match where the fish will really feed, and that's the spell you've got to make the most of. So if you're fishing aggressively, you're feeding positively, you've got positive rigs, positive elastics, that type of thing, you make the most of that good spell better than what other people do.
Yeah.
I always think like, take the Oaks, for example. Like, you obviously take that place apart. And everyone else is like, doing this, doing that. You go with your approach and you fish really heavy elastics, your solid elastics, which obviously aren't in favour now. And everything just seems a step above everybody else in terms of how you play your fish. Everything's done to get the fish in really quick.
Yeah, I mean, especially on those new lakes, it's like the weights are massive and you're going to catch all match and you get your good spell still even on there. But instead of on some venues, your good spell might be 50, 60 pounds. There, your good spell might be an hour where you catch 150 pounds.
Yeah. And
you need to be geared up to catch that 150 pounds.
So what weight was it you had last year?
586 pounds, I think I had.
Right, so hang on. This brings us on perfectly to something a guy asked me yesterday at the bottom of my video in the comments. Weights that have got massive now, sort of like I think he mentioned £200. Do you think it's right? Is it what we should be doing? That was how he sort of like termed it. Is it the right thing?
For me, what's the difference between? I think I can't remember exactly, but I had maybe 220 fish that day.
Yeah.
What's the difference between catching 220 carp, 220 roach, 1,000 bleak?
Yeah.
It's all relative. The weight's relative to the size of the fish, and the actual fishing isn't any different for me.
No, I think you'd bang on unless water quality suffers and the venues suffer because they've rammed loads of fishing to get those weights too artificially. But the venues that I think catch those massive weights, they're not like that though, are they? Because there seem to be venues that catch big weights all the time for several years. It's not like the fish have got poorly and they've had to ram a load of fish in again. They're consistent venues. You're catching these weights all the time.
Yeah, I mean, them lakes at the Oaks have just gradually got better and better and better every year. Last year I had that big weight. The year before, when I went in summer, I broke the record and I had, I think, 440 or 460 pounds. So in the space of 1 year, it's gone up by sort of 20-30%.
What size are the fish?
2 to 3 pound, 2 to 4 pound.
Oh no, 2 to 4 pounds.
2 to 4 pounds. Where's he gone?
He's gone. No, he's gone.
Sorry about that. I had a phone call.
It's the Oaks.
Yeah, so sort of 2, 3, 4 pound sort of size. Not massive, but when you get them on as quick as you can go in, they soon build up.
Yeah.
So what sort of tactics are you fishing to catch them weights?
What I'm going to do is get my top kit. I've just elasticated something the other day, so it's a perfect time.
Oh, perfect.
What a lad.
Look at this. Look, so new in the background. Look at that.
So new bucket, yeah.
So, I've got off the solid elastics a bit now.
Have you?
That you mentioned. And I use this beauty, which I can't really take credit for because Joe told me about it. So it's an elasticated number 3 section.
Just hold it up a little bit higher, Adam, so we can see it. That's it.
Oh, can we
see
the bush?
Yeah. Hang on. So show us the bush again. Because people might listen to this, so we'll have to explain. So it's a massive bush.
Yeah, what number 3 is the outside bit, if you can see here. That is actually an insert, a pipe insert. That you put
okay, so what you've done is you've took the number 2 section off totally.
Yeah.
And you've got a number 3 section, so it's about 1.20 meters long.
Yeah, 3.5 foot it is, I would say. So
okay, yeah. and then because you can't get a bush to fit inside that, you've put an insert of pipe.
Yeah, that's a pipe insert, what you'd use for plumbing when you're putting push fittings on your pipe.
Yeah.
Put that in, araldite it in place, and then a big bush is that central bit you can just see here.
What a monstrosity.
Yeah, but Rob, honestly, even at like Lindome and that thing was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, obviously it was you that told me about it, and you used it for F1s, a bit lighter than this. You had sort of, I think you used to use 11 hollow in it.
Yeah, the idea being that you still got the softness because obviously the tip was so stiff, but you only had so much elastic could come out and just stop. So when it came to netting them, you didn't even have to break down. You could just lift the top kit up.
So it's similar to a very heavy duty short F1 kit then.
Yeah, but it's the length, isn't it, more than anything? Because
it's so thick, it lets your heavy elastic work properly. It doesn't bend, so you don't get any friction. And even though your elastic's heavy, it still comes out. Your top. Are
you breaking down your pole? You're breaking it down, or just lifting it up behind you?
I used to just lift it up behind me. You can't now. Fish are too big, and obviously they're all proper carp, so they do pull a bit.
Yeah.
And that's why I've changed my elastic. I used to use sort of like a 14 solid, but I've changed to a doubled up hollow elastic.
Which is what grade's that equivalent to?
That's a Browning one, stretch 7, sort of white hydro sort of strength, but doubled up.
Yeah.
And obviously the way a hollow works, when you lift your top kit, it flattens over the bush a bit and sort of locks up slightly. But because I've got 2 strands, it does it even more. So it'll come out nice that way, loads of power to pull the fish back. And as soon as you lift, it sort of stops stretching.
Right. I guess it's not one for the purists, is it? But this is like match fishing at the extreme, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, and it's not. I couldn't go and do it every week. It's hard work, to be honest. You'd knackered after the match, but sort of once or twice each summer. I tend to go there early in the year when the weights are a bit lower, and I'll go maybe twice in August when the weights are really big, just for sort of a bag up day, see how much you can catch type of thing.
It's worth saying about the fish health there, because the fish are in really good condition, aren't they? Like, they're amazing considering they don't have to stop the place. It just ticks over every year, doesn't it? It's amazing, really.
Yeah, there's never been a restocking since they opened, which was 12 years ago, maybe. Fish are in brilliant condition, not a mark on them. Fight as hard as anywhere I've ever been. So, yeah, there's definitely no problem with fish welfare. There's a net limit of £70. So most people have maybe £50-60 a net. Fish are well looked after that way as well, and generally get fish for maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, I've noticed on venues that are quite heavily pleasure fished by maybe anglers that aren't quite as experienced. That's when you do seem to get problems with fish, as they get bashed around. People want a picture of them. They put them on the concrete and a towel, and they drop them. And I know match anglers get a real bad rap for obviously mistreating the fish, but I think it's a little bit unjust because we hardly ever touch the fish anymore. Fish is in the landing net. We unhook the fish. We don't lift it up. We put it in the keep net from the landing net. The fish is in the net for sort of maximum 5 hours if you've caught it on the first cast of the day. And then we put them back. It's not a case of a pleasure angler sitting there all day, ramming a net full of fish, dragging it up the bank, old school style.
And I think even with extreme type of tackle, sort of this type of thing, it's not that heavy. It's still set soft.
No, I can see when you pull it out, it's really soft, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but there's not much of it. It doesn't stretch that far. It powers up quicker.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're dragging them in and ripping hooks out and that type of thing. The elastic's still doing its job, probably more so than what it would on a rod. You probably put more pressure on a fish on a rod. So
you're just in control, aren't you, with that kind of setup?
Yeah, exactly. All it does is, as it comes out, as you're seeing, that first bit comes out okay. As it gets to sort of 3 or 4 foot of it out, it just powers up a lot quicker than what a standard single length of elastic could do.
And obviously, because it's hollow, it's not going to snap. Whereas solid elastics, they can snap, can't they?
Yeah, that was the other thing as well. When I first started using them top kits, I used them at Lindholm on Benny's, and I had a couple that did break. I think the fish was small and was sort of 8 or 10 ounce, and I used an 8 to 10 midi high vis solid.
Yeah,
and it was absolutely brilliant for them. But you might catch 200 or 300 pounds, and all of a sudden it just breaks because it can't take a hammer.
It's intense fishing, that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think of that, that's 400 fish, isn't it? When they were that small.
Yeah, I think I fished a few rovers on there, and I counted one match, and I had something like 620 fish.
Oh, don't even talk to me. That's crazy. Right, I tell you what, leave me on because of the gear. A bloke here, and you use. Do you still use your Malman floats? I bet you. Well, you do, yeah.
Yeah.
Side eyes, because obviously we're talking about bagging. Are you changing like the float that you use? He wants to know about side eyes really, but I think the float in general is important. So side eyes, bristle side eye in the body, rubber on the stem.
Same float that I use. This one's a bit battered. I've obviously had it a long time, but I've used them about 15 years, I think. That for all my shallow fishing, and they've just got a standard side eye, nothing different about them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Gaz's floats are really well made. They don't pull out.
Right, show that. Put that up again. So it's a little dibber style.
Yeah,
I've got some. Yeah.
Yeah, standard side eye.
Wire stem.
Is it? Yeah, it's a wire stem. Sorry. Yeah. Flexi wire on his new ones. And that's pretty much the float I use all the time for shallow. On the new lakes where it's sort of real bagging type fishing and the fish come really shallow, as I say, I just fish sort of an 8-inch piece of line with a blob on it. And obviously a blob never ever break.
Proper fishing.
So what bait are you fishing for them?
I've tried a few things. I think, to be honest, casters were probably the best bait I used, but the amount you needed was ridiculous. It just wasn't really worth doing, so I just fish meat now. And they're that size, sort of 2 to 4 pound fish love meat, don't they?
Do you think you get a bit slightly bigger stamp?
Yeah, definitely.
This is what we talked about.
It's quite interesting, this, Rob, isn't it? Because someone asked the other day, Adam, that we sort of told everyone to try maggots and casters, but people were worried about the cost. So we sort of said, give meat a try. And that's exactly what you've just sort of said.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, the fish there tend to feed really shallow. So obviously, with meat sinking slow, it's sort of coming through the catching area for longer. And combined with that blob, you find most of your bites come as your bait falls. So you can sort of throw your meat in, lift it out, drop it in. You've got no shot on your line.
Hair rigging your meat?
No, again, I did do, but it's just not as quick. So I just put a big hook on now, hook it with plenty of hooks showing. So I'm getting sort of the same effect.
Right.
What do you reckon's that, Rob?
Yeah, well, I've been toying with the idea with a method feeder fishing. You know, when you're fishing like expanders or soft baits on your method feeder or pellet feeder, just a massive hook and just using. So you've got your pellet there, but it's all hook.
So
hair rigging it. I've been toying with the idea of that. I do like to hair rig my. So I go on.
12 and sort of nick my meat through the corner. It could do the same with an expander, I suppose. And then obviously, like you said, it's just all hook showing. And your bait sat sort of at the back of your hook where it would be on a hair rig anyway.
So once this is all over, Adam, where are you going?
I think I normally wait till August to go to the Oaks, but
Is that big weight season, is it?
I might go straight away, make the most of it. Want to be fished for a while, and it'd be nice to go out and just catch one every chuck after we've been fishing for a while. So hopefully that's before August.
Well, let's hope so.
What's work like? You've still got to go away a lot?
I'm off at the minute, being furloughed, so we're off at the minute till 31st of May.
So you work on the oil rigs, don't you?
Yeah.
Are they open or are they still shut?
Still open. They've cancelled a lot of work. They've got the people on there who are essential to run it, and sort of cut down on men. So skeleton crew basically.
And what's your general sort of shift patterns?
Depends where I'm at. 2 weeks on, 3 weeks on. Depends on what rig you're on and where. Generally 2 or 3 weeks away, and then equal time at home, maybe a bit longer.
So that's nice for you to get it. Obviously, when you do get back, you can get your teeth into your fishing then.
Yeah, it's just hard. Obviously, you go away for 3 weeks. A lot can change in 3 weeks now, can't it? So, especially this time of year, sort of coming into the warmer weather and going away from the warmer weather as it cools, things change a lot in 3 weeks. Middle of summer, it's not so bad. It stays the same. But
yeah, I mean, we've had some beautiful weather, haven't we? Last probably 5 or 6 days. But I don't know whether how much of an effect that would have had on the fishing, because obviously the water's still cold.
Was it maybe 2 or 3 years ago we had a really warm sort of end of March, and everywhere seemed to go crazy early on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think length of the day makes a big difference, doesn't it? Amount of daylight and that type of thing. So,
yeah, all them little triggers, all them little cues that they're going to stop feeding.
It's just nice for us to be sat out in.
Yeah.
You see these pictures of the commercial fisheries, don't you? And the fish are just sat there. You can see them at the minute, can't you? They're just chilling on the top, aren't they? They're just chilling.
I've seen a few videos from Messingham Sands when he's feeding them, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but, the fish are just gagging friendly.
I dread to think what them pegs will be like where they've been getting fed when someone's about to go and fish again.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't
I need something like this.
Might need to go up a grade.
Yeah, might need to step it up a bit.
So, Adam, before you go, give us 3 top tips to win these guys more matches this year when they can get fishing again. On the fly.
My first one, be positive. You see so many people draw a peg and sort of first thing they want to do is moan, it's no good, rubbish peg, not going to catch anything. But you're never going to go to a peg with that sort of attitude and win a match. So the way to think is go there, think on a commercial fishery, every peg has won a match at some point. Go there and think like that. Think I can win the match. There's fish in front of me. There's enough fish there. I just need to figure out how to catch them. Second one, make the most of the good spell. Just keep yourself in contention if you can. Catch a few fish, keep putting something in the net. And at some point, generally last couple of hours, last hour and a half, you're going to have a really good spell in your match. Make sure you're geared up to make the most of that spell. Third one. Oh, you put me on the spot now.
Yeah, that's the point.
A normal bloke could say prep, but obviously you're like me and like Joe, I suppose, that we're not bothered about the prep. We're just going fish.
Yeah. Third tip. They all just keep going on about being positive, don't they? Which isn't like me.
Hey, look, another one.
Have we got another one? Is the IBS on?
The IBS is on.
Oh my God.
I can hear you through my headset.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
What are you doing? Playing Call of Duty?
Well, he's got proper gear.
Can you see Adam as well, Simon?
I can. Yeah. How you doing?
We've had Adam on telling us his top tips and how he catches what, £500?
Yeah.
£500 when
on,
he goes
Simon, what do you reckon to £500 weights?
I think it's it would be tough for me to achieve that because most of my fishing's done with silvers, so I think it'd be tough for me to achieve it. But I think I've got pretty close to the old 300 every now and again on an odd venue, but it's probably not something I'd be capable of to be on my level of competence, I think.
Right. So the reason we've got Simon on, not to show us the most famous extractor fan in the world at the minute.
It probably is, actually.
I think it is, because Simon's doing live feeds every day. Are you in on it, Adam?
Yeah, there's something wrong with my foot. Oh, I can only see myself. I can't see anyone else.
Oh, you can't see it?
Can you see everyone now? Oh, it's gone.
He's gone.
No,
oh, no.
I can see me.
That's all right.
I can see Joe now. I don't know what's happened now.
You only need to see yourself.
You're on the gallery view if you can get on that.
Yeah, I think that's where you're talking about catching £500 being beyond you. I think computers are beyond me and phones.
Yeah. You've done all right.
There we go. I've got it.
You got it. Right.
So the international banking sensation has come up with something new, hasn't he?
Well, I don't know whether it's new. I mean, I just think, do you know where it came from? I mucked about last week with a few of my pals who go to Whiteacres quite regular. And it kind of became a thing, this virtual fishing. I think it was an element to stop us going stir crazy to a degree. Then I think we sort of got to the point where we thought, and it was actually a conversation that was born out of one between myself and Matty Parsons down in the southwest. And we sort of thought that we could do this and charge people to join in with the banter, and raise some much needed funds for the NHS, and that's pretty much what we've done, really. So it's
so just for people who don't know, because you might not believe this, but I'm not actually on Facebook at the minute. So this has totally gone over my head. Like, so what is it exactly? You're running a virtual fishing match, or?
Yeah, so I've done a 160 peg festival at Whiteacres purely because the Whiteacres festivals have got cancelled. I've charged people £10 to go in it. So we basically start off the fundraising with 1,600 quid. That all goes into the NHS. So I think the important point to land in this process is that nobody's actually going to make a material gain from this at all, with the exception of the front line. So all those people have donated their own money, their own £10 to join a competition that exists only in my head, which is a slightly dark and worrying place for most people in society, I would imagine. But the only things that are legitimate about it is the money going to the NHS, and then the draw.
Simon, let me stop you there. The money going to the NHS, because we want to touch on that properly.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to raise 1,600 quid? How many hours did it take you to raise 16?
So I launched it on the Friday night, saying, this is the idea. Put your name on the thread if you want to take part. And I said, I'm going to cap it at 160, which meant I could do 5 lakes, 32 pegs a lake. Okay, really straightforward from an admin point of view. And I said, I'll cap it at 160, but I want at least 50 people, or I'm not going to do it. If I can't raise 500 quid for the NHS, I'm not going to do it. Within 2 hours, I'd got more than 160 people saying, I'll pay £10 to go in it within 2 hours. So the next morning, I went to bed then because I was overwhelmed by the response. I then private messaged everybody because I didn't want to put like the bank details on Facebook. So I sent them private message to everybody. And within 12 hours of me sending that private message, I'd got £1,700 in the bank. So some people had paid more than £10. They said, I'll pay 20 or I'll pay 50. And I think at the minute we've got £1,720 in the bank account. But that really took less than 24 hours to achieve that.
Brilliant.
Amazing. Just shows what can happen, doesn't it?
Well, I think it does. And I think the context of this is quite important as well. I mean, I'm quite lucky. I mean, I know, there's a bit of a thing with this alter ego about the international banking sensation. It's a joke against myself, let's be honest about it. But I'm quite lucky, really, because I have got a pretty good job, and we can have a sort of a giggle about that factor. But some of these 160 people that are out there right now, they're furloughed and they're not earning as much money as they would have been previously, or they're self-employed and they're not getting anything at all. But they've still found a way to push £10 into something that's going to ultimately be a benefit to somebody else who's trying to tackle this problem at the minute on the front line. And I think that it's easy to forget about that, that some people are actually facing hardship themselves, yet they've still stepped up to the plate here and decided that they're going to help other people, even in the face of adversity. And I think that's a very noble thing.
Yeah, brilliant. Massive. Yeah, brilliant. Right.
So you in on it, Rob?
I'm in on it, yeah. So to talk about how it goes, because I've drawn today. You did the live draw yesterday. You're doing live updates on your Facebook page.
I am,
every
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
I drew, obviously, my drawing arm. your drawing arm probably isn't as good as mine. I drew match lake peg 9 on the first day. With
Oh my God.
Which, hang on, I think I've finished second in section of 9, or I might have even won the section of 9 in the past. So there's a half a chance.
It's not I mean, on day one, I think if you know, I mean, we all know white acres, so we're quite lucky. If you know white acres, and on day one you draw something like peg 9, you're probably not overly optimistic, because on day one we're probably going to be thinking either 1, 13 predominantly, or maybe 7 will nick that section because they'll be fishing up the island. They've got the most room, and they tend to be the form pegs. But you're right, white acres is a funny thing. So let's talk about how it happens, and then I'll talk about your peg specifically.
No, don't talk about my peg.
So the whole thing, the reality is the money for the NHS is a reality. They get every penny. There's no prize money for anybody that does well in this festival. It's likely that some of the big names in our sport might have a few trips along the way this week, and I'll explain how that's going to happen. Because the draw itself is legitimate. So I've got my big bucket here, okay, on the island in the kitchen. My wife's delighted about that. Every night, or during the course of the weekend, I've done live draws for every section. I've done it properly. So at the start, there were 160 names in the bucket. The first 32 were following. The second 32 were section B, and section C and section D.
So just like a normal White Acres festival.
Yeah, like a normal draw would be done, yeah. And then once I'd got the 32 pegs for each of the 5 sections, obviously they will rotate together as you normally would through the festival. And then I did 5 live draws yesterday, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, through to 5 o'clock. They took about 10 minutes each, where I drew the pegs out for the anglers in the order they came out on the previous evening. So, for example, you were in section A, Rob, with myself, and I drew the peg numbers out in the order that they came out in the draw from the previous night. And then I'll roll that down about 6 or 7 anglers today, and again the next day and the next day, so that everybody gets a chance to go into the bucket early. But the only part of this that's legitimate, other than the money, is the draw itself. I don't rig the draw. I don't put the superstars on the worst pegs and the not so superstars on the best pegs. The draw is legitimate, how it would be in a normal fishing match. That's where the legitimacy of this campaign ends.
Does it go because World Wrestling Entertainment after this?
Yeah, so you're then at the mercy of what goes on in the murky depths of my brain.
So you're in charge of the wind. You're in charge of whether there's some extra fish stocked in the lake. Yeah. You're in charge of someone maybe even getting disqualified, are you?
Yep, definitely. So John Winkup last week, when there was just 36 of us last week having a muck about just as a group of mates, John Winkup didn't weigh in the one match and wheels spun out the car park in a tantrum and all that, which caused a bit of fun. But I think what we'll probably see this week is we're definitely going to see 1 or 2 anglers take too much bait to Belingi. And they're going to be anglers who are perhaps slightly more high profile. So we'll have a bit of fun at their expense. And I think really we'll just see where we end up. But what I can tell you, I probably shouldn't share this secret, but obviously after the draw last night, it's brilliant now, because if I log my phone on, everybody on my phone now, if I go through my Facebook feed, everybody will be telling everybody how they're fishing their match, what they're catching. It's absolutely crazy. We're all grown adults.
I've got a WhatsApp group that's going mad as we're talking. Yeah. Because we're stopping in an imaginary lodge with Martin Howard and Jake Fowles. We've got an imaginary lodge. And the WhatsApp group's going mad. Jake's telling me what he's caught. The chav, Martin Howard's telling me what he's caught. It's just brilliant. It's just good banter, because we know roughly how the lakes will fish, or in our head we do. So it's a load of rubbish.
Yeah, but in a way, it's the rubbish that's keeping us sane, and it's keeping. I think what fishing has got above most other sports is an element of camaraderie, and we perhaps take it for granted when we're there every weekend, and we don't perhaps view it in the way that we do when we can't see people on the bank. But there is an awful lot of camaraderie in angling. There's a lot of people who support each other, help each other. They're in communication all the time. They talk to each other, and all of a sudden we've stopped doing that, and we can now only do it electronically, and we can only do it made up in our heads. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. But there'll definitely be some slips this week from some of the stars, I think. And they'll
Even
be,
on good pegs. I'd love to see
even
some
on
good
good
anglers
pegs, yeah. The
best
wind's
some
going
good
to be
pegs.
going in wrong directions. People are going to break a pole. You know, there's going to be disqualifications. And I don't know. I won't try and predict who wins, and I won't try and force that. I'll let the results do what they do and work through to the end of the week. But it might not necessarily be Andy Bennett this time around or Paul Holland. Who knows?
Yeah.
So who won it last week?
Bennett won it last week, didn't
Benny won it last week, and I think the silent one, Phil Canning, was second, the most secretive man in fishing. And I think third was Mushy, but everybody said that Mushy was only third because he's my best pal, and that's probably true because his record ain't very good at white acres. But he's a good lad though, so we'll see.
So
how it goes.
just go.
You can't even get out on the bank.
No.
No.
Can't go fishing and still winning.
Just changing the subject a little bit. Obviously, there's a couple of other virtual fishing matches that are going on at the minute. I know Bag Up TV are doing one where people are winning big amounts of money.
Yeah, I saw that. Well,
£600, I think the winner got this week.
Yeah, so look, do you know what? I think it's brilliant. I think this is another great thing about angling. You know, people say, is that right? Is that wrong? And I don't think it's fair for me to be judge and jury on anything, really. I think what's important is what the anglers are prepared to do themselves and what they think is acceptable. If they didn't think it was acceptable, I think the reality is they wouldn't do it. But from my perspective, I didn't want this to be about anybody making a material gain other than the people that are desperately trying to keep us alive at the minute. And I think that they were the people for me that needed to make the material gain. Would that stop me going in somebody else's tournament where I could win a few £100 or I could laugh at somebody else not winning money, like, you know, Mushy as an example went into that match. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all, and I'd probably do it myself. So I don't think there's a right or wrong. One thing I would mention is Michael Buckwalder came up with something a week or so ago around trying to get the biggest ever fishing match in the UK, and I think it's even gone worldwide now with some of his international
South Africa,
contacts.
isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's really important to sort of look at, you know, that's okay. I can find a way of chucking a couple of £1,000 at the NHS. That's great. What Mike's talking about here, what Bud's talking about here, is potentially raising somewhere in the region of 20, 30, 40,000 quid, and doing something that nobody's ever achieved in their life. And I think that that's the type of thing that we really should all get behind, you know. So I think there's a place for everything, Joe, is the answer to the question that I would give, really.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think it just shows what, if you put your mind to it, what actually can be achieved. If actually someone just gets off their arse and does it. My problem with the other style matches is I think they're brilliant. I'd love to go in them, but you know, if you win I just feel it with a normal charity match. I always feel a bit obliged to, not that I don't think I've won many of them or any of them, but if you do win one, you feel like, oh, it's a charity match. Do I need to give my winnings to the charity? And I always feel it's a bit of an uneasy area. That is a bit of a grey area. I always feel.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
I'd feel a bit guilty because I've won a charity match and it was for charity. Do I give the money to the charity or not? And how does this work?
I can definitely relate to that. And I'll tell you where I had I didn't have a moral dilemma, but I had an issue in my own mind when I came up with this and what I thought the concept should look like. As many people know in the fishing world, and they take the mickey out of me because I'm a little bit overweight, but last year I ran the London Marathon, and over the last 10 years, I've raised quite a lot of money for Alzheimer's research and dementia revolution because it's something that's ravaged a lot of my family. And I've spent a lot of time trying to raise money through them. I've had a lot of help through my banking connections and through fishing and through a local club that I run. And I've raised thousands and thousands of pounds. And I did this, and I'm already in the middle of raising money for Alzheimer's research because I was supposed to be running the marathon in 2 weeks' time, but obviously it's been cancelled. So I'm now running it between the Maver and the Preston Festival, which will be interesting from a logistics point of view. But I'm in the middle of raising money as well for that. And then I've had to stop, put that on hold, go back onto Facebook, where a lot of people on my Facebook are not fishermen, and they think, oh, now he's raising money for this. That's a bit of an interesting twist. So there are these occasions that probe your mind and create sort of dilemmas that you've got to sort of try and conjure up a response to, or what the appropriate action is. But I just think you've got to go with your gut instinct. You've got to believe that what you're doing is the right thing, Rob, in that situation. And I've no doubt that whatever you've done in the past, it'll ultimately have been the right decision. That's what I would say.
Yeah, of course. And what I like to do as well in those situations is not put myself in that position. So by just going into the one that you're running this week, where you know from the start everything goes to the charity. You have not got to make a decision at the end of this. Everything goes to the charity. It's only a tenner, but once it all adds up, it's quite a bit of money.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
The decision's out of everyone's hands then, and it's just all, there'll be no accusations. That way you can have more banter because you can say, oh, he's broke his pole, the wind's changed, and no one's going to moan at you.
No.
Because no one's going to benefit out of it apart from the charity.
And I think that was definitely a key design principle, was to make sure this didn't become about what an angler could gain. It was more about what an angler can give. And I think fundamentally that's really the way I wanted to position it from day one. What I can say to you is that there are a range of abilities that have got into this festival, this virtual festival, ranging from people like yourself that have got that sort of defined international pedigree, right down to somebody that's never ever been on a festival at all, never been to Whiteacre, has never seen the venue, has probably fished club matches for the last 45 years of their life, and is now a pensioner. So we've got the sort of the full range, right down to Perrin Winnick, who's obviously Big Tone's son, and I think he's about 12 years old now, Perrin, and he's joined the festival. But what's happened is, in this, a load of the angling companies and the manufacturers and the bait manufacturers and sponsors and all of that, I couldn't tell you, I couldn't list it now in front of me, all the things that I've got now to give away. So some of those people who are perhaps a little bit less well known and don't win things on the circuit will probably benefit from a few bags of ground bait and a bit of pellets and some buckets and whatever else. So because actually most of the companies have been super kind and have donated some stuff that I can give away. And there's also one or two bigger things that I've had donated to me that have allowed me to find a way to generate more money for the NHS as well. So I've got, you know, a few bits of what you would call proper tackle rather than sort of terminal tackle that I'm going to be able to sort of either auction off or do a subsequent raffle for, and then just get that pot raised above the 1,700 that it's at the minute, or just over 1,700, sort of probably nearer maybe a shade over £2,000, I would think, by the time we've finished. So that's a real positive, I think, as well.
What where can everyone find out about it? So your Facebook page?
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously, it's all over my Facebook page, but to be honest, I'm being tagged in by that many people that you're bound to find out about it somewhere. I've done a separate interview with Ricky Richards on Match Fishing Masterclass. I've now been contacted by the Angling Times, who want to run something in their magazine, in their paper.
The results section.
Online, yeah. I don't want to put the results in, yeah, that'd be good fun. And I've also been contacted by Andy Ford as well, who's trying to get a bit more of a sort of a more globalized audience for people to understand what we've done. I think there's another key point that I'd want to probably call out, is that anglers perhaps don't always get the best press, do they? So outside of the angling community, this is not inside. So outside the angling community, if you read the newspaper, it's an angler's bashed a cyclist over the head for going over the pole, or you know that type of stuff, fired maggots into a boat, and you know all the horror stories that we've all read growing up as kids and whatever. But I think that we don't always get the kudos as a community that we probably deserve, because if you look over the course of a calendar year, there are a plethora of events that go on and matches that go on that we get involved in, or this community gets involved in, and probably raise throughout the course of a calendar year tens of thousands of pounds for all sorts of different events, whether that's even raising money for things like getting our national teams to be able to go and fish internationally because they don't get support from elsewhere. I think there's a load of things that we can do, but we don't, or do, but we don't get the credit that perhaps as a community we deserve. And I think that doing something like this, perhaps that gives us a bit of a platform. It's a little thing, I know that. We shouldn't blow it out of proportion.
No, but I think you're right. We should get a little bit more credit. People, but who should push that forward? That's the awkward question with that. Because usually the people that are doing this sort of thing, maybe yourself included, you've not been out and seeked any attention. They're not seeking the attention. They're not shouting out, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing. they're having to wait for someone to come knocking on their door and someone else to blow their trumpet, and that's just not happening enough.
No, I think it's, I mean, I definitely didn't, again, talk about design principles earlier in the conversation, that it was never a design principle to get a huge amount of coverage or to get loads of people talking about it. What I wanted to do was send the NHS 1,600 quid. That's what I wanted to do. And we've ended up getting, and I say we because I'm not a one-man band here. I think it's important to remember that, you know, I'm used to talking. I do it for a living. And standing on stages and making a bit of a go to myself, that's quite a natural environment for me in conference world, for example. But so I'm quite happy to be a front man on Facebook, but behind the scenes there has to be somebody that's working all the spreadsheets and building programs to run a virtual festival online. And to be perfectly honest, my wife hates fishing, has nothing to do with it, but she's built all of this behind the scenes, and if it hadn't been for her, we wouldn't have been able to do this either. So when I use the phrase we, it's not just me and the anglers. There are other people, the companies that have pitched in and helped out. There's people like Helen, my wife, who's done all of the sort of the background work on the technology. You know, we've achieved some great things there. I didn't set out as a design principle to get loads of kudos or credit for it, but it has come and people have got interested, and now we've got to deal with that in the right way.
Brilliant.
Right.
So one last question, Simon. What is the end goal?
I think Ricky asked me this question, but from a slightly different angle. The end goal was to design principles were to entertain and for us to have a laugh and to maintain that level of camaraderie whilst doing something quite positive for other people. And the particular charity we're using is an amalgamation of a number of NHS charities that's been specifically set up to support the frontline NHS staff and the volunteers who are dealing with COVID-19 patients. So these are people who are real in harm's way of what's going on in society at the minute. And the design principle was to boost the funding within that charity to try and help them out a little bit. So there's no admin costs or anything like that. It goes directly into the front line. So really, what do I want it to end up like, or where do I want it to go next? There isn't really an answer for that. But what I want to achieve is by Friday night, we've had a real good laugh. We've brought the community closer together in terms of the fact that we can't go fishing, so we're all now friends with each other online. We'll celebrate the winners. We'll give a few prizes away that people have kindly donated to perhaps people who don't normally get them, and we'll send the NHS, or I'll transfer the NHS a couple of £1,000 and say thanks for everything you're doing. This is from the anglers around the UK. Brilliant. Let's crack on.
Brilliant.
So will you do another one?
If this carries on, I think it might be the only fishing we get for the next few months. I mean, I'm already looking forward, Joe, to the Maver and the Preston Festival down at Whiteacres, because I'm pretty sure we'll be back fishing by then. The bit I'm not looking forward to is training for a marathon during the summer to get ready to hop from Cornwall to London, to run 26 miles, to get back to Cornwall and be ready to start the Preston the next day. I'm not looking forward to that, but if we're forced to do more online fishing over the course of the next few weeks and months, then so be it.
Well done, mate. Right. All
right.
We're sorted with you. Just quickly before you go, where's your next venue? Where are you going fishing as soon as you can get out again?
Well, I was due to be on the on the fish show at Viaduct last week, so I'll probably try and find a qualifier, Rob, as soon as I can.
A big money qualifier. Nice.
Yeah, that'll be my target.
Cheers, Simon.
Thanks
I'll be in touch
Simon.
Later. Hey, make sure I catch some fish today.
We'll see. You're a legend. I'll see you in a bit.
See you
Thanks,
later,
Simon.
All the best. Bye.
He's off.
Is he gone, is he?
What do you think to that, Adam? Virtual fishing.
You know what? I've been watching it on Facebook, and it's absolutely brilliant how involved everyone's getting with pictures of the pegs, people putting reports on what bait they're going to take to the peg.
Oh.
It's like a normal festival, other than not being anyone in the bank, isn't it?
I know. It's exactly the same. I did say to Simon, he's managed to get a bit of support from Whiteacres thing, just with some bait and things like that. Would have been nice to get a couple of free drinks from the bar, maybe, because obviously it's almost like we're in the bar talking about the day afterwards. And I think maybe if Whiteacres would have put some bits and bobs up, it would have been nice.
I think he won't be short of people wanting to buy him a pint or two after it. Though.
No, I know.
Fair play to him. No, that's brilliant, because it's obviously a lot of work. I mean, we laugh and joke, but it's a lot of work behind the scenes, isn't it? So fair play to him.
Yeah,
I think
fair
it'll be
play to
really interesting to see how fishing sort of changes after all this. I think with all this online stuff and even things like these chats and all these companies doing live Facebook feeds and that type of thing, it'll be interesting to see what happens when we can go back out on the bank and how much of this type of stuff will still go on.
I wonder if there'll still be the same amount of media, because I've noticed a couple of other people just cropping up because obviously they thought, well, I've got a phone, I've got a bit of time, I think now's the time to set a few things up. I wonder if they've got the time and energy and inclination to do that sort of thing once they're back out fishing again.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Because we can obviously see a like this. We can see this continuing past the lockdown, can't we? So it's really good, and it's great to have guests on like Adam and Simon and have a chat as well. So really good.
It is. Yeah, the guests.
So the third tip, come on.
Yeah, you didn't get your third tip. You've had loads of time to think of it. Come on.
Third tip. I've been too busy listening, haven't I? Right, what were my first ones? My first one.
Be positive and be positive.
Be positive, be positive. Your third one, what's it going to be? Have a skinful the night before?
Well, to be honest, I think I'm past that now. I don't drink so much anymore. Third one, you've still got me. Did I say be positive?
Yeah, you've said be positive. So shall we have be positive, be positive, be positive? Be positive with your rigs, be positive with your bait, be positive with your mindset.
And pull them hard.
Pull them hard.
Oh. That's a good one.
No, I think where you obviously you mentioned about prep and said we're not overly bothered about doing that prep, but I think always having somewhere to go is really important. There's not many times you're going to go and fish one line and that's you all match. Yeah. And I know a lot of people like to start new lines up as they go, but I'm a bit more. I like to have somewhere ready to move to, somewhere I've fed for maybe later in the match, or if somewhere dies, I can go there and just keep something going in my net. Because like I said, obviously my last tip, you'll get a golden spell at some point, but you don't want to spend the rest of your match catching nothing. If you just keep putting fish in your net and then make mostly good spells, obviously you're going to do well every time. So just always have somewhere in your peg in mind, in case things go quiet, it dies, you stop catching, you've got somewhere else to go.
Yeah, nice.
I like that.
Nice.
Right, what are you doing? What are you doing for the rest of the day then? Are you doing anything exciting? Are you rig tying? Are you elasticating? What are you doing?
Yeah, mate. I broke all my river rigs down to retie them. Probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I decided I wasn't going to fish any river matches this year. I was going back to just carp fishing. And then all of a sudden I've decided to buy some river river rigs. So too much time on my hands, I think. So yeah, that's my job for the rest of the day.
Nice.
River rigs. Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
How do I click off it? Next question.
Just get your phone and turn it and put it down on the desk face down. That'll do. Don't do that.
Actually gone off when I've done that.
No, don't do that.
It's in the corner. If you press the screen, does it say leave?
No, I've got it. Right. I'll see you later. Enjoy.
Cheers, Adam. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Is he just going to be there? His face there?
It's still on.
Not like match of the day, this, is it? Oh.
I think he could be gone.
It could be gone this time. Is he gone?
Sounds like it.
We've done an hour there. We've had a few nice things there.
Yeah, nice. Very
Come on.
nice.
So, Simon, great cause. Great thing to be involved with.
Get on his Facebook page. Have a quick look what he's doing. Really good. I'm involved with it. Fishing a virtual fishing match, which feels really strange. Adam Richards, fantastic. Obviously, we'll try and get Adam on again, I think, because obviously he knows a lot about fishing, Adam does. I want to use the word underrated, but I think he's rated pretty highly.
Yeah, very highly.
Probably, he's just not a face you see in the press constantly.
Yeah.
And we want some interaction from you guys. So comment below, tell us what you think, tell us what guests you'd like on, tell us any little topics you'd like to cover. And I think until next time.
Thank you very much, guys.
How do we end it, Joe? Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Lines.
Stay home.
Stay safe.
Keep watching. Keep
watching. Yeah, keep watching. Stay safe.